Hey, what's up, AP guys? We have a video for you on the nullification crisis, which occurs during Andrew Jackson's presidency. It's one of my favorite times in U.S. history. Before we get started, I want to introduce you to a quote I read by Andrew Jackson while reading this wonderful book on my political hero, Henry Clay, Statesman for the Union, by renowned Andrew Jackson scholar Robert Remini. On the very first page, I saw this quote, and here's Andrew Jackson. When he was close to his death, he was asked if he had left anything undone. Yes, Jackson replied. I didn't shoot Henry Clay, and I didn't hang John C. Calhoun. Those are some strong words there for Andrew Jackson. Now, much of his resentment towards Henry Clay started with the corrupt bargain, and virtually all of his resentment towards John C. Calhoun can be traced back to this. Let's find out, what did John C. Calhoun do that made Andrew Jackson want to hang him? All right, before we get started with the tariff controversy, we need to do a brief review of tariffs. And remember, a tariff is a tax on foreign goods. Now, what a tariff does is it raises the price of foreign-made products. And in theory, this will help out with American businesses because now foreign products are more expensive. It also will provide a source of revenue for the government. Who would favor tariffs? Well, the North would, because they have industry, and that's where a lot of manufacturing takes place. And those that would be against tariffs would be the South, and then some people in the West as well. There's little industry, and they are consumers, so they would be hurt by these high prices. Okay, let's go to the Tariff of 1828, also known as the Tariff of Abominations. This is passed in 1828 in hopes to hurt President Adams. This was actually devised by a bunch of Jackson supporters who they wanted a tariff to be so high that President John Adams would have to veto it. And if he vetoed it, then he would alienate his base in the North, thus guaranteeing the election, the presidential election of 1828, to Jackson. However, Adams signs it. He does alienate himself in the South and the West, but he keeps that base in the North. And this raises tariff rates significantly. Let's take a look at this. We have way up here is the tariff of 1828, 48% on some goods. It is very, very high, the highest tariff up to that time by far. Again, the northern industries are going to favor this, and the southerners are going to be hurt by this tariff. And the southerners received no tariff protection for their goods, predominantly cotton. So they felt like, why aren't we getting a bone thrown our way here? Enter John C. Calhoun. Well, he is part of the Great Triumvirate. Here's another great book by Merrill Peterson, and it is all about these three interesting men, but my favorite right here in the middle, little Henry Clay there. John C. Calhoun was also the vice president under both President Adams and President Jackson, so he served under two different presidents. He goes on to become a senator from South Carolina. He was also a war hawk leading to the War of 1812, and a very scary individual. He did not age well whatsoever. He kind of looks like Dracula or something, I don't know. Somebody on the internet say he looks like Dr. Emmett Brown. I don't agree, but by the way, that is my favorite movie of all time. Maybe you see the resemblance, I don't. Run for it, Marty! Okay, he also wrote a pamphlet called the South Carolina Exposition and Protest. Very important to know. He wrote this anonymously while he was vice president. He drew inspiration from the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, and what he said in this was for states to nullify the Tariff of Abominations, or the Tariff of 1828. 2 years later, in 1830, in the Senate, we have something called the Webster-Hayne debate, which is very, very symbolic and very, very important at this time. Daniel Webster, also part of the Great Triumvirate, supported the Union and was critical of cries of secession. Hayne here, who goes on to become governor of South Carolina, was buddies with John C. Calhoun, and he was encouraging people to nullify the tariff, and then they were even some chance of secession here, breaking away. And Webster was notorious for wanting to preserve the Union. And this is a very, very famous debate that will unite the North for many years to come. Here we have the Tariff of 1832, and this lowered the rates from the Tariff of Abominations. However, the South's like, nope, still too high, bro. You got to lower them even more. So South Carolina calls a state convention, and they officially nullify the Tariff of 1832. And this sets the stage for a showdown. Nullification, a reminder, is the act of making something void, specifically the action of a state in abrogating a federal law on the basis of state sovereignty. In other words, a state nullifying or declaring a federal law unconstitutional. And South Carolina, in addition to nullifying it, said to Jackson and Washington, D.C., hey, if you try to collect these tariffs, we will break away. We will threaten secession. They threatened secession. So a hero is needed, and who is going to come save the day? Oh my God, it is Super Clay. That rhymed. That was pretty good. So this is the Great Compromiser's second compromise, and this is known as the Compromise Tariff of 1833. So over the next 8 years, the tariff rates will gradually lower by 10% per year. So if we look back at this chart, you see that each one of these little steps here is the rate lowering 10% per year. And you see 33, 34, 35, 36, those are the years. So 10% per year, and then it's going to go all the way back to the Tariff of 1816, to the rates of the Tariff of 1816. The South will favor this, and Jackson, and the same day that the Tariff of 1833 is passed, the Force Bill is passed, which was introduced by Andrew Jackson. And what the Force Bill says is that the president could use the military to collect tariffs in the future if necessary. So it was a way for Andrew Jackson to kind of get his way as well. And both Jackson and Calhoun were able to save face with this. They both were able to claim victory on some level. The crisis is averted, but the real hero here is Henry Clay. All right, that's everything you need to know about the nullification crisis. I hope that helped. Take a moment to subscribe. Spread the word for me, please. Let people know in your class, your teachers, friends, anybody that you can think of. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And thank you for watching. Have a good day, guys.